Revenge films.
My name is Miley. I'm a 17-year-old high schooler who lives with my parents. I had many friends and I spent every day happily, but I had one problem. It was about my dad. Because I was his only daughter, he'd been adoring me since I was little. That hasn't changed, although I'm already in high school, and he was especially strict with me interacting with boys. When one of my male friends took me home and my dad saw that, he got furious, saying,
"It's 100 years early for you to take my daughter on a date."
Like that, he would get frustrated when I talked about boys.
"You should be careful of boys because they're all beasts. Don't you interact with weird guys."
He would warn me like that and simply disliked seeing me interact with guys. It was clear that he'd oppose if I ever got a boyfriend, so I would usually never confess my feelings even if I had a crush. Because of that, I've never had a boyfriend in my life. But a sudden change happened in my life. My classmate, Sean, told me that there was someone he wanted to introduce me to at school. According to Sean, when his senior came over, he coincidentally saw his class photo on his wall and fell in love at first sight with me in the photo. He begged him to introduce me to him, so he asked if I can meet him once, and after thinking about it, I agreed to meet if we weren't alone, and I said yes to Sean's request. On the day, I had Nancy, my childhood friend who goes to the same high school, come with me, and the four of us, me, Nancy, Sean, and his senior, were going to meet at a cafe. When I went inside feeling nervous, I saw a calm-looking guy sitting next to Sean who looked mature. His name is Silen, and he was a university student who was about 2 years older than us. His face was still young, but he had a mature aura about him. He was handsome, tall, and definitely my type. I thought it was lucky that someone like him fell in love at first sight with me, so we exchanged contacts right there. We started having conversations privately. He was a kind and calm guy, and he didn't seem like a beast, which my dad always talked about. As I texted him more often, I could feel that I was opening up to him. But Nancy said, "I think something smells fishy about him." And whenever she said so, I'd get mad at her, saying, "No way!" I had no idea how he looked suspicious when he was so nice. Like that, he was considerate of me and didn't text me during the night. And to make sure we didn't worry my parents, he always took me home at noon whenever we went on dates. I was falling for him, seeing how he was a gentleman. We went on dates once or twice a month, and we slowly grew closer within 3 months. Dylan confessed his feelings for me on our way home from our date, and he finally became my boyfriend. He asked me to go on a sleepover date to a hot spring to celebrate our first date as a couple. It was my first time spending the night with him, so I felt very nervous until my big day. I lied to my parents that I'll visit a hot spring with Nancy, and with his car, we headed to our hotel in another prefecture. While we were enjoying shopping at an outlet on our way there, a man I didn't recognize approached us in a surprised manner after he saw Dylan's face. He grabbed his shoulders and said,
"Who's the girl next to you?"
Then Dylan answered awkwardly,
"Why are you here?"
He seemed like he was panicking. "You know him?" When I asked, the other man asked me,
"How old are you?"
So I answered I was 17. Then the man said,
17? There's something I want to tell you.
And he invited us to join him at a family restaurant nearby. As soon as we got seated, the man yelled at Dylan,
"You're doing this again! You're so horrible!"
I had no idea what was going on, and when I said, "Stop it! What did Dylan do wrong?" the man replied,
"Dylan? That's his fake name. How old did he tell you he is?"
"I thought he was 19 and in college." When I replied, the man answered,
"He's a 35-year-old office worker and he's my colleague. His name is Tom. He's deceiving you."
That was what he said to me. I thought that couldn't be possible, but as soon as the man said,
"It's not just that. He has a wife and child. Please, I'll stop deceiving minors, so please don't tell my company and my wife."
As soon as he said that, I found out that he really deceived me. At that moment, I realized why he didn't reply to my messages at night, and why we only got to meet for short hours during the day. It all made sense. After I heard about his actual age, he did look older than other college students. His colleague took me home while I broke down in tears from shock. I got out of the car saying thanks, but I knew my parents would ask me what happened if I showed up with swollen eyes, so I didn't go home and stayed over at Nancy's. When I explained what happened to Nancy, she got furious and said she'll call Sean. When we questioned Sean, he revealed that Tom was his relative and that he loved young girls and had affairs with teenage girls in the past, deceiving them like he did to me. Sean was asked,
"Introduce me to girls. I'll pay you."
And he admitted that he told him about me. Nancy got even angrier after hearing that, and she advised me to tell the police about it. But I knew that if I told the police about it, my parents would find out too, and I really wanted to avoid that. But I couldn't just let this guy called Tom off the hook. So I decided to call him directly, following Nancy's plan, pretending like she was my mom. When I called him from my phone, he quickly answered and said,
"I want to see you again to discuss matters with you."
Then Nancy got on the phone and got furious with him. "I'm Miley's mom! How dare you deceive my daughter!" Tom quickly apologized.
"I'm very sorry."
But Nancy replied, "I'm planning to tell the police about it, so you better prepare yourself." She emphasized that she was not accepting his apology, and she hung up. I hoped he learned his lesson this time, and I blocked him on my line. I decided to cut ties with him. An hour later, my mother suddenly gave me a call and said, "The police are coming, so come home right now." I had no idea what was happening, and although it was complicated, Nancy accompanied me back home. When I arrived, the police were already there, and I saw Tom at the door. Looks like he visited my parents directly to apologize, afraid that I might actually file a report to the police. My parents had no idea at first. But when my father, who got furious after finding out I was in trouble, questioned Tom for more details, he ended up revealing everything. My dad quickly called the police, and they said they wanted to interview me too, and that's why they wanted me home as soon as possible. When they asked us what happened and we answered truthfully, Tom was taken away by the police. As a result of interrogation, it was revealed that he had committed other crimes as well, and he was arrested for having affairs with minors. Of course, Sean was also warned by the police for introducing girls, and he got kicked out of school. His arrest made his wife find out about his affairs, and he had to pay a great amount of compensation money after their divorce. Now that he's gotten fired from his job and lost his family, his numerous crimes were revealed and he was sent to jail. I was afraid that my dad would no longer allow me to go out, but my dad was actually regretting his past actions, which was unexpected.
"You weren't able to ask for help because I was too strict about you interacting with boys."
He apologized to me and promised not to be too sensitive. Thanks to that, I was now able to hang out with my male friends from high school, and I was able to enjoy an ordinary love life of high school students. But I realized through my experience with Tom that I was bad at choosing who to date, so I'll make sure to listen to Nancy's advice from now on. To prevent being deceived by a weird guy again, I hope I can ask my parents for advice about dating in the future.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.